Hello everyone and welcome to the movie room. My name is Declan and this is my review for 1917.
Why in God's name did you have to choose me?
Stay, please.
No! If you don't get there in time, we will lose 1,600 men.
So 1917 tells the story of two young soldiers within the British Army who receive a special mission to go and stop an attack which new intel suggests is actually going to be a trap, and this is their journey, all shot and all made to look like it is all done in one take. So yeah, the big selling point going into 1917 is that this film was all made to look like it was all done in one take and all done in one shot. Of course, there are hidden cuts throughout it and things like that, but for the most part, this movie is all done in one continuous flowing shot. But before we get to that, I will want to talk about the performances first a little bit. For one, Dean Charles Chapman, who you all know from Game of Thrones. While I don't personally know him from Game of Thrones, I actually know him more from the film Blinded by the Light last year, which he actually really stood out to me in. He plays one of the leads here, and he is really good, really talented, really well done, and really well cast in this movie. I really like what he was able to bring to the character, especially there's a particular scene with him which really displayed the youthfulness and the innocence of this character who, you know, he's basically a little boy who's fighting in this war. And this is obviously a very real thing that happens, you know, in these wars and things like that, that the people, the soldiers, the men who were fighting for the country, they were just young people. They were really young people. And I think that Dean Charles Chapman just nails that performance because there's a particular scene, I won't say what it is here, but it just nails that performance, and I really felt like he was a little boy fighting in this big war, and I think he sold that so well. And George McKay, who equally is the other co-lead, brilliant. He's a lot more understated and he's a lot more reserved than Dean in the movie, but I think that his character has so much more going for him as well, and has a lot more going on, which by the end of the movie, once you find out a little bit more about him, it just kind of makes his journey that much more impactful, and I really like what both of them were able to do. They bounced off of each other well. I like their chemistry, and I really like the fact that these two actors were chosen because they are relatively unknown. Again, Dean Charles Chapman I've seen in a couple of things. George McKay I didn't know at all. So it was quite nice to have these kind of unknown actors take on such these big substantial roles, and it also kind of helped with the immersion because this wasn't really this big heroic story. This was just these two guys who were selected for a mission, and that's kind of how it felt. Now, the real star of 1917 is my boy, Roger Deakins. Now, Roger Deakins is the cinematographer and the DP of this film, and what a phenomenal job he's done. Roger Deakins is my favorite cinematographer of all time. I really aspire to kind of, you know, his level of work. I am incredibly inspired by his work, and I think that his work within film is unparalleled. I think he's such a phenomenal cinematographer. You just have to look at films like Sicario and Blade Runner 2049 just to get a brilliant idea of the kind of work he's doing right now. And I think that 1917 needed Roger Deakins to pull off this feat. Of course, this film, wanting to be a one-take war movie, you needed someone with the talent of Roger Deakins to really pull that off, and he does it so well. This movie is not only beautiful looking, there are so many shots that are absolutely stunning, as I'm sure you would have seen in the trailer, and if you've seen the movie yourself, you will know how beautiful this movie looks overall. But seeing how he's able to just combine these shots together where, you know, there are those hidden cuts here and there, the way they're just able to be blended together so seamlessly, thanks to the cinematography and, of course, the editing, it just really helps to describe how good he is at what he does. And I think without this movie and without Roger Deakins, this movie would really be nothing, and this movie wouldn't be anywhere near as good as it is if it wasn't for the fact that Roger Deakins was on the team and helping this one-shot take come to fruition. And, of course, pairing him with Sam Mendes, who, of course, is the director of this film. He also wrote this film with his wife. This comes for a really good pairing. You know, not only is it a big, you know, task for Roger to do this movie, but also it's a big task for Sam as well. I think them two working together, I think Sam was able to direct this movie in a way that feels, again, fluid and natural and organic. It's a way that is able to really show the relentlessness and the, you know, bombardment of war. You know, these people, these two men who go on this mission, they are constantly, it's non-stop. It's constant, you know, just bombardment of, you know, explosions and gunfire and, you know, intensity, and that's kind of how the movie feels because it's all done in one take and it's directed in that way and it's shot in that way, so you feel that relentlessness. By the end of the movie, you kind of feel worn out, you feel tired, just like the men did by the end of the movie, and it really helps to put you in the shoes of the soldiers and really help you become more immersed in this world and with these characters. And the score is also really good. Thomas Newman's score, I think, really helps to emphasize a lot of the scenes. Again, there are two particular scenes in particular that are these kind of big scale set piece moments that really, again, show the power of the cinematography and the direction. I think that those particular scenes really benefit as well from this beautiful score from Thomas Newman. It's intense, it's epic, it really matches the scale of this film. Again, with this one-shot thing, there are some of these scenes that are just mind-blowing to look at. It's a real technical feat to see these huge scale battles just done in one take, and it makes you question how amazing it is. It makes you question how they even did it because of how just intricately it's all done and how natural it all feels. And I think that, you know, Thomas Newman's score to go along with that just only emphasizes the epicness. And I think that particularly the scene which you would have seen from the trailer of George McKay just storming across the battlefield, the music that goes along with that is just so pleasing to the ears, and it just feels intense. It feels victorious, but it also feels defeated, and it's such an interesting score that, again, just really helps to emphasize the movie. And I really loved how it just went perfectly with the direction, the story, and the cinematography. A couple of negatives though. For one, there are a few actor cameos in this which I found very distracting. Like, as I said earlier, I think what this movie does really well is that the two leads are kind of unknowns, so it does kind of feel like these two random soldiers were just chosen to do this big mission, which is exactly what the movie should have been. But then every now and then you get an actor who just shows up who's very recognizable, someone like Mark Strong or Benedict Cumberbatch, and it just completely takes you out of it, because it just feels like these actors who, you know, you've been following these two characters who really feel like characters because you don't know the actors. You get a quick reminder that you're in a film because you get these big Hollywood actors showing up out of nowhere. And again, they're not bad or anything like that, but they feel a bit distracting. The only one who I kind of felt got away with it was Andrew Scott. I really liked him in this movie, but other than him, especially Benedict Cumberbatch, he was the big one. He's the one who kind of comes in at the end of the movie and just is like this big kind of, you know, Hollywood star, just walks in, all of a sudden Doctor Strange is in your movie, and you're like, well, that's ruined the immersion. There's also a couple of plot conveniences which does kind of come with a movie like this, given the fact that it is one take and they do have to move the characters along. There are a couple of moments that did feel a bit convenient, such as this moment where you have the two characters being alone in a specific area, and then you can tell they're alone and it's filmed like they're alone, and then by the scene's end, they need to progress the characters to this next bit. So these, you know, just kind of army of troops show up out of nowhere to kind of progress the story, and it felt a bit convenient. It felt a bit clean and, you know, squeaky clean, which I didn't really appreciate. But again, sometimes with a movie like this, you have a bit of give and take with that. It was a bit too convenient for my liking, but obviously they just had to do it to get the characters going. Now, this movie is going to be fired under question, which is this movie a gimmick? You know, with the whole idea of it being a one-shot take, and to a degree, I don't really know. I think that, you know, this film, I think clearly was conceptualized to be this. I mean, I don't know if anybody's actually confirmed this, but I believe that, you know, this film was conceptualized to be a one-shot war movie, which, if you take it by that case, then yes, this would be a more gimmicky movie. But it doesn't feel gimmicky because it does actually have some good things within it. Again, while I don't think the performances are particularly outstanding, and I don't think the story is anything special, I think this movie, with the one-take stuff, with the cinematography, with the score, and with the direction, it does have a lot of substance within it. It's not a completely flat war movie. It does have, you know, it's not a flat film where, you know, the one-shot take just kind of elevates it to something else. This movie has a lot going for it outside of that. So I do think while this movie probably was conceptualized to be a one-shot movie and there could be seen as a gimmick, I think there's a lot more to the movie outside of the one-shot take that does add a lot more to it, and there's a lot more to chew on the bones than just the one-shot take. So I think that, yes, on the one hand, it could be a gimmick, but equally, if you're someone who likes film and appreciates film, I think you will find a lot more to like about it outside of just the technical achievements of the one-shot take. I think there's a lot more going for it than that. So it could be a gimmick, might not be. I guess it depends on the person. Overall, though, I thought 1917 was a really fantastic film to watch, and a really enjoyable one at that. I've seen this movie twice now, and I really enjoyed it both times. I think that the technical achievement of the one-shot take is so entertaining to watch because you're constantly looking at the movie just in awe at how they were able to pull this off. And I think that, you know, the combined talents of Sam Mendes as the director and Roger Deakins as the DP really were able to blend together in a way that made this film, again, feel natural and feel organic and feel like it was really crafted in a way that was just perfectly put together. I think that this movie does a really good job of not only just being a technical achievement, but just being a really entertaining war movie. And I think the performances and the story, yes, they're a little lackluster, and the actor cameos and the plot conveniences can drag the movie down a little bit. I think for the most part, this movie is going to be really entertaining. How it's going to withstand the test of time is another question entirely. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. But I think for the most part, 1917, it's a really great war movie. It's very deserving a lot of the awards attention that it's getting, and I'm very excited to see how it does at the Oscars. And I think that overall, 1917 was a great watch. I really enjoyed myself. So have you guys seen 1917? If you have, make sure to let me know all your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments down below, and let's have a great conversation about it. And as always, guys, if you want to see more movie reviews and movie related videos like this from the movie room, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss an upload, and hope to see you guys again next time.